All right, so hello everyone. Thank you all for joining us. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Matt Harris. I teach here in the ceramics program at Concordia University, and I'm very happy to be virtually hosting today's talk, which has been organized by Concordia's Nowruz, by the Nowruz Project and the Concordia Ceramics Program alum from the class of 2020, Rehan Ibrahimi. As the virtual host of this visit, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that Concordia University is located on unceded indigenous lands. The Ganegahaga Nation is recognized as the custodians of the lands and waters on which we gather today. Chochega, Montreal, is historically known as a gathering place for many First Nations. Today it is home to a diverse population of Indigenous and other peoples. We respect the continued connection with the past, present, and future in our ongoing relationship with Indigenous and other peoples within the Montreal community. And just a reminder that if you have questions during the talk, please feel free to pose them in written form using the chat or Q&A function, and Rehan and I will go through the questions verbally as time allows. For now, I'd ask that you all keep yourselves muted to avoid any background noise and noise interference. And just so you know, we are recording this Zoom session. Next, I'd like to introduce Rehan Ibrahimi, who will be introducing our special guest for the Concordia Nowruz Project, Adil Writer.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. And hello, everyone. Welcome. On behalf of myself and my colleagues in Nowruz Project, I would like to welcome you all for joining us today. And also, I would like to thank the Ceramic Department of Concordia University for co-hosting this event with us, and also Concordia CCSL Special Project Funding for supporting us. So we are in the first half of spring, and this coincides with the Nowruz period. Nowruz meaning new day in Persian. Oh, I think we have to, sorry for that. No worries. So Nowruz meaning new day in Persian is a 3,000-year-old ritual which is celebrated annually by diverse communities from Hindu Kush mountains all the way to Mediterranean Sea. So this area includes Western Asia, Central Asia, the Caucasus, the Black Sea Basin, and Balkans and South Asia. Nowruz is celebrated on the first day of spring, and it also marks the arrival of the new year in Persian solar calendar. So in the spirit of rebirth of nature, I would like to wish you all a happy spring. Nowruz Project is a curatorial collective which focuses its practices on two concepts central to Nowruz: rebirth and reunion. Based on the capacity of the traditional concept, this collective intends to create an interactive space to foster intercultural dialogues between the artists and scholars of Nowruz celebrating regions and other cultures. For this year's editions, we have been organizing a number of artist talks, and today I'm very honored to open the second talk by Adil Writer. Adil is a ceramic artist, painter, and architect from Bombay, India, who was born to a Parsi family. He currently lives and works in Auroville, Universal Township in South India, where he is partnered at Mandala Pottery. Adil strikes a fine balance between making functional tableware and his studio ceramic work, which is usually soda wood fired. Adil studied pottery at Golden Bridge Pottery, Pondicherry, India, with Ray Meeker and Deborah Smith. He is a member of International Academy of Ceramics. His work has been showcased at several solo and group exhibitions in India, Japan, China, Indonesia, Australia, Estonia, France, and USA. Writer has organized residencies for groups of Indian artists in Fuping, China, where the works were made for the permanent collection of FULE Ceramic Art Museum. He has also been an invited artist at Shigaraki Park in Japan and Gaia Ceramic Center in Bali. In 2015, his latest this was in 2015. And his latest curatorial collaboration has been Quartz Inversion with Janet Abrams, which showcases the works of over 60 artists working during the COVID pandemic. Please join me, everyone, in welcoming Adil today. And and who has kindly accepted our invitation. Sorry. Join us. Thank you, Adil. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Rayan is in charge, so I am just going to go through this PowerPoint, and please feel free to butt in and ask me questions or prompt and things. How do you start something like this? Rayan approached me first because she came across some images of my babies, but we won't show that right now, otherwise half my crowd will leave. So, okay. So we start with this because this is the image you chose, the earlier one, of the clay figurines that I made when I was in China. And it's also got every name on the plinth with all the Parsi names of the people whose images I had made there. This was the residency that we were invited to in Phuping, which is the place where they're building this thing called the Museums of the Five Continents. It's this huge, humongous project, and they invite foreign artists to come and work and make works and leave it behind. Supposedly, we were.
Sorry,
yeah.
like if I'm not wrong, this is related to the Terracotta Army, right? Maybe
yes, and it is an hour away from Xi'an, which is where the Terracotta Army is. So we.
What's the time?
I don't know what's going on.
Sorry, everyone. Do you mind to
go to
mute
the next,
yourselves?
Yeah, I can't go to the next image.
Yeah, I'm going.
Okay.
Here.
All right. So as you can see on the plinths below, I don't know how big your screen is. There is Homi Havaldar, Ramona Screwwala, Freni Fatakra. These are Parsi names that we make fun of. And these are the people I'd made when I was in China. And it started with this central figure, which is the actual Terracotta Army soldier, which was being made in the toy factory right next to us. And they were churning these out, beautifully made pieces. And I said, why can't I use these and make them into my own work? And they said, of course, please do. And that's how this series started. I need to be able to, yeah, okay. So this is back home, Parsi colony, my family. Here in the middle is my paternal grandfather, grandmother. Next to them on the right, my mom and family. Below, my grandparents from my mom's side. And left is, I'm holding my little brother's hand, and that's my mom and family and dad.
Yeah, and maybe people would be interested to know about who are Parsi community in India. So if you don't mind, I'll go back to that. Yeah, like this one, the who are the Parsi community.
So the Parsis, we came to India nearly 2,000 years ago to escape Islam when Persia was becoming Iran. And we came in 3 ships, and stories about one ship reaching Karachi, one ship reaching Gujarat. And we came in as refugees, and we've been in India since. So we are originally Zoroastrians from Persia. That's a bit of the story.
Yeah. Okay, go to, and now we.
So that's simple. That's my school in Bombay, Don Bosco High School. University of Houston, Texas. I did my master's in architecture there, in urban design. Before I came back to India, I didn't want to stay in the US and work there. I worked for a bit in San Francisco and came home. Worked in architecture, and then came to Oroville to learn ceramics with Ray Meeker and Deborah Smith at Golden Bridge Pottery in Pondicherry, which is a small French town on the east coast of India. And a couple of years later, moved here where I am today in Oroville.
studio ceramics, as we call it. It takes me all over the world for the sculptural kind of work that we do. How do I come to clay? If I were to know that, maybe I would not be in clay. Clay just happened. So the way I work is very intuitive. I have no idea what this final piece will look like. It's good that it's always a surprise. I am the kind of person who can never plan anything. The process is fluid and spontaneity is important because otherwise I lose a sense of what I'm doing. I love fire. So when the glaze melts to the right point, it's something else. A wood firing, a soda firing is totally different because you are actually sacrificing everything and saying, okay, you do what you have to do. After 4 days, we will see what the kiln gives me. Most people are either doing functional ceramics and doing tableware and doing cups and plates and bowls. And then there are people who are doing sculptural work and studio ceramics, as we call it. And I'm kind of bridging the gaps.
The thing with Adil's work is that it's super creative and quite crazy and out there, and I really like that because I feel like my food's a little bit like that. Like my hollandaise sauce is pink. Like some Americans would be like, "Ugh, what?" But like I quite like doing what I think is cool. Building to pink, it's just like fun. I like to have fun with these things.
Sensory overload. My beautiful plates and this amazing food, and I'm sure it tastes as good. You think it tastes better because of the plate?
Yes, 100%.
When a very well-known Indian artist, Lakshma Gaud, was coming to my studio, I made large boxes, which people know me for. And then they became canvases for him to work on, to draw on. He brought me out of my hibernation in the drawings that I used to do in my paintings, and I got that into my clay. So that's all about collaboration. You have to be open to it, to receive it, and then when it comes through in the work, it's beautiful. I was an architect. I had done my master's in urban design in Houston. I'd worked in Bombay as an architect for 12, 15 years. And I was actually losing patience in how much time it takes to build a structure in India. I think what I'm doing today, I'm still making buildings, I've just scaled them down. I designed my house, I had it built. It's the only architecture I've done in 20 years of being a ceramic artist. Just because I am a compulsive collector of ceramics from all over the world. Wherever I travel, I'm bringing things back, and I needed a place to open it all out. Since I was 3 years old, my mom used to take me to her art classes, and they would put me on a table and give me paints, and she said I would be the quietest, happiest kid around. I come home in the evenings and I paint. Mostly I paint everything that I do at night. I guess it keeps me off the streets, right? So let's go down. I'm painting downstairs. We live on a bed of iron oxide in Oroville. The red clay is iron oxide. It'll dry up and crackle up like that, crack up and all. takes us back to the glazing that we do in the pottery, where we have these glazes running down the pots. The painting does its own thing. I am only a facilitator. The way it flows, the way it blends, and how it dries up in the morning, it's always a surprise. And it's a bit like how we sacrifice our pots into the firing in the pottery, because till you unload it, you don't know what you're going to get. I don't like to limit myself to scale. On one side, I have made these very large clay paintings, and on the other side, I'm working in my studio on these small figurines, which are the Sweet Dreams series. I am happy with what I'm doing, but for me it is important that it registers, it makes someone stop and look, whether it makes the person happy or sad or freaked out or creeped out. Really a very personal thing. What you get is a very individual experience.
So these are images of the soda firings. We have a soda kiln in Mandala Pottery, which we fire almost once a month, once in 2 months. And slowly I'm getting customers who are so used to the look of nice, clean, gas-fired ceramics. I'm getting them to appreciate the look of soda and the uncertainty of the finishes that you get out of it. Ruthan Tadbal came over to India 5-6 years ago, and Rakhi, Kane, and myself, we hosted her. And since then, we've started soda firing in Oroville, and my kiln has reached 48 firings now. So we are waiting for the Golden Jubilee soon. Next.
Yeah. So
these are the pieces that the one on the left, those are soda fired. My friend Rishim Sachdeva, who's the chef at Olive, stuck his neck out and said, no, I want the soda fired look. And we came up with this very beautiful set for him. The set on top to the right is in Sri Lanka with my friend Chana Daswade. The one below is waiting for him here because of the lockdown. So we customize and we make tableware for people, which is the main thrust of what we do at the studio. And then the rest of it is the sculptural work that I do. Again, soda fired work, functional work, which is soda fired. We've started sodifying porcelain, not the best for soda, but I love the freshness of it. Everything is set in Oroville. My studio is in Oroville. Oroville is a small township of 3,000 people, 3,500 people max. We live in a forested area of about 3,000 acres. And this is in South India, half an hour close to Pondicherry on the East Coast. People from over 100 countries living together. These crowds are only a few times a year when we have the bonfire and wait for the dawn to start the new day. This crowd actually was the 50th anniversary of Oroville, so it's never this crowded. Some murals that I get to do. My friend Shenawaz, she's online in the middle. She's an architect, interior designer from Bangalore. Commissioned us to make this mural. That's my intern friend Tosha, who helped me with the project. This is all gas-fired and partly soda-fired ceramics in Bangalore at a private residence. And next. This one is also in Bangalore at another friend's house, conceived and designed by my friend Chana Daswate from Sri Lanka. Hopefully he's online. Most of this is inspired by roof tiles of South India, terracotta tiles. Some of these components we actually made and smoke fired to blend into the whole thing. And this outdoor gazebo was like this perfect spot that Chana wanted us to put this thing up. Looks stunning. This is again, this is at the Andaz Hotel in Delhi at the Hyatt. Gas-fired, simple work, but again, the space, the wall space that Namita Saraf gave me at the Hyatt to put this up. This thing just looks alive when you get there. It's become a selfie spot for everyone. It's the Hong Kong Club. Another one in Sri Lanka at Chana's site at the Hermitage in Kandy. I make these shields which I had started making when Mr. Lakshma Gaud was in my studio when we were doing a collaboration. And I've started using these in my mural work. Most of these tiles that you see are components which are soda fired. Each piece is very beautiful. And it's a kind of pixelation that I'm trying to show, like a computer generated pixelation with the variations that soda firing can give you. Architects of Immortality series, these are lines from Sri Aurobindo Savitri, which have stuck and become a series for me. I love to work with these cubes. These are all interactive. They spin on an axis, and they make very good canvases to draw on. Most of these are soda fired again. This was the 2018 first Indian Ceramic Triennale in Jaipur. I was invited to I was invited to put up my large barcode, which you will see. And this is the entire cast, star cast, the all-star cast of the Triennale. All the artists who were at the show. It was a stunning event. And the barcode that I put up is called a deserted barcode. I wanted to reflect the fact that we were in Jaipur in the desert. Can we have the next image, please? It's called the deserted barcode. And I like the night, so there's this night sky and the barcode. Of course, it's a Photoshop image, but if you see the original on the right side, that's how the barcode looked in Auroville at the Matri Mandir. So this is unfired clay. I don't see the necessity to fire everything. Even this, the next one, these are all unfired clay paintings that I do on canvas. People know me for my ceramic work, think that these are huge monumental ceramic sculptures. I wish they were, but they're not. These are canvases wrapped around wooden stillages and painted with clay, mostly local clay. This is the brown clay, which is like a bentonite from Auroville. The black one is the than clay that we fire, which fires white, but when it's raw, it's black. So I work with this thing that you don't need to always fire the clay, and I like that. The next image is a series for the Sheraton Hotel in Bangalore, where I was asked to have a theme for the restaurant there, the all-day restaurant, and we worked on the Bidri series. Bidri work is a very specialized metal craft, where the metal is made black with some processes and the silver lines are carved into it. I used that in the work, and I was asked to fill up the niches in the restaurant with ceramic work, which was soda fired to give the look of the Bidri. And then these huge paintings were on the wall. Again, clay paintings. I guess people who know Zoroastrianism and Parsis will recognize this. This is the Farohar, called different things in the rest of the world. I like to use this imagery of the Farohar motif, and I go into sculptural work with it. I'm also called a Dabbawala because I like to make boxes. So these I call treasure boxes. And this series that I make has got the imprints of the Farahor, but it's in a very abstract form. The red smears you see is part of the red dot series that I have been working on for the longest time. It's my homage to the Indianness in the work, because a lot of our work could be from anywhere in the world. It's contemporary in language. The red dot sort of gives it some piety, some holiness, the red third eye, whatever. The Parsi says, the one on the extreme left top is the original says, which is a family heirloom in most families in the Parsi community. And some of these elements I have seen in Iran when I was traveling. And some of these are things that we've picked up during the time we've been in India. So when I was asked to make something for a particular show where I had to show some traditional object, but with a twist, the object on the right is my contemporary abstract says set. So it has an abstract coconut, the light, the box, which has got the red powder in it, and then the rose water sprinkler and the cone, which holds the sugar, the sweet. It's just making something which is very traditional and very close to us as a community, something contemporary. And all these images that you see are at my friends' houses in Bombay. I
And
think
mine
Rihanna has something to say about the sweet dreams, yeah?
Yeah, I'm sorry about the interruptions, everyone. This was an unexpected technical issue. So yeah, when I first was searching to find artists from the Nowruz region, I came across the work of Adil, and this was actually one of the works that really caught me. So what I found about these dolls was that I kind of made me silent in a way. I could look at the pictures for long, and when I was very excited when I wrote to Adil and he accepted our invitation. I said I'm very interested to learn about like what was the concept behind this works, and then yeah, maybe I will leave it to you to explain more.
So the Sweet Dream series started with a small mold that was given to me by a friend in Australia almost 12 years ago. I was invited by Janet Mansfield to build and fire a fired house there, and we were working on it, and I was given this plaster mold of this doll head. It's an abandoned mold from a tip shop there, which I didn't think about much. It stayed with me in the studio for years till I actually started working on it and working with it. And along with this, I also have, I use abandoned glove molds, which from a glove factory down south here, and discarded pyrometric cones. I use a lot of things that are found objects in these tableaus that I make. The point being that everything is the same face, but everything else changes around it. I don't really like to talk too much about what I'm doing and why I'm doing, but over time, a lot of people have told me that I must talk about it. So can we go to the next image, please? And so this whole series is sort of emerging over time. And the best part is I'm not making it for any show in mind, with any gallery in mind. So I'm just doing it at my pace, to my liking. And I like the reactions that I get from people. Most people may log out seeing this just now. I have friends here who would probably. But the point being that some images are very sweet, simple, nice things, and some are edgy. And children come and play with these forms in my studio, in my house, and the parents try to shield them away from it. And I keep telling the parents, it's the garbage that you collect over time in your life that makes you see that in the object. The child is innocent and doesn't look at it this way. Anyways, I don't like to conceptualize too much about this, so I want you to react to it. Again, this large platter has got a lot of Hindu mythology in it. It got me into trouble at a show also. somebody said there was this baby Krishna playing with his toes, and then there's the 10 heads of the Ravan there. Why there's an astronaut in the middle standing there, I don't know. But you make your own story. You see, that's the whole point of this. And tell me what you see in it. Next. These 3 platters were at the All India Platter Show at Gallery Art and Soul last year, just before the pandemic. And again, these have got figurines on top, which you see, which are all porcelain figurines that my mother has been collecting from all her travels all over the world. And now she started to give them away, and I bring them to my studio and I refire them my way. So they completely change from what they used to be. And this is called the Banana Republic. This was done last year. Actually, it was made 2 years ago. At a time when there was a lot of strife in the world, there was all this stuff going on in the US, there's always stuff going on here back home. And the baby faces and the figurines of the people, by the people, for the people. Again, you make your story out of this. What do you see in this? That's my thing. These 2 were made in China last year. 2 years ago, 2019, I was invited to be part of a group of ceramic artists invited back to Phuping for an international soda firing conference conducted by, we were hosted by Ruthan Tadwal and Jack Doherty. And I hope some of them are online today. We had a great time. I think we all got our COVID there at that time because we had a translator who was terribly sick, and we all fell sick in various degrees before anybody knew what COVID was. So these figurines, I carried the same mold, an original piece with me. So we made a mold of that. That's why they shrunk more and became smaller. But the same object I'm carrying with me around the world and making pieces. And there's a certain feel in every piece that I make in different parts of the world that is different from what I would probably make at home in my studio. This was made in this room here. In the lockdown, this dining room of mine for several months in Oroville was my studio. I found my way to my ceramic studio, which is away from here, brought home some porcelain and some soda clay, made these pieces. You see them in the back here. Made these pieces here on this dining table. And it was again addressing the pandemic. You know, these, I call this La Corona Familia. It's the Corona family. This one on the bottom says Corona Pyar Hai, which is a little take on Bollywood. These were other things that I did in the same room here. I love to do calligraphy. I've studied Shodo calligraphy in Japan, and ink on rice paper is something that quietens me down. I love to do this. This painting on the right is another unfired raw clay painting with acrylic on canvas, also addressing the masks and the king with the orange hair and things like that. So that was the pandemic. But the other thing that also we did, I did during the pandemic, sitting here, was I was trying to call up friends and artists from all over the world to ask them what they were doing at a time like this. And I realized that a lot of artists were working with mediums and materials that was different to what they would normally do with clay. One of them I spoke to, my friend Janet Abrams in New Mexico. And I told her I wanted to start a Facebook album about this work that people were doing. She says, no, let's do a website and let's do a web page and make it into a project. So we collaborated on this. She came up with this brilliant name, Quartz Inversion. It's what happens to clay at a certain point, changing from one state to the other, which is what we were going through, changing from one state to another. And the website is online. It's gone through its second phase, just like the corona is spreading from one to the other. The first round of artists that we invited nominated a second round of artists that we didn't know. And all this is on Instagram, on Facebook, and on the website. It's a brilliant catalog of what artists have been doing in the last couple of years during lockdown. We are ready to do the third phase, but we are actually not ready. It's now that life has started and everything is going on, it's very hard to get to this because it's a lot of work and a lot of energy to be put into this. The website entirely done by Janet, brilliantly done. I would never have been able to do that. Please take a look at it. It is a brilliant encyclopedia of what people in this sphere of ceramics have been doing during the pandemic. What'sinversion.com. And the last image, what are we doing now? What's next? Table Manners 2, which was to have been hosted exactly a year ago in March 2020, 3 days before the lockdown of Bombay City, we had to cancel this show, postpone it, and we've revived it now. And today in the papers, we are hearing about how Bombay could be locked down 3 days from now, 4 days from now. It's like I'm telling my co-curator Shayanti Salvi that if we postpone this 2 years from now, maybe COVID will go away and come back 2 years from now. So anyways, we are hoping to put up this. Table Manners 2 is almost 20 artists working entirely with the concept of food, cutting edge, top of the line, handmade ceramics for the table or ceramic murals addressing food for the walls. And we are hosting this, we are putting this up at Gallery Art and Soul. My friend Tarana Kupchandani took about 10 years to be convinced to paint the walls black, dark gray for me, without which I said I won't do the show. And let's see, next week, this must be live. I hope it is.
Perfect. Thank you, Adil. Yeah, and I think this was the end of the presentation. Everyone, please, if you want, you're interested, you can turn on your videos and join us in this event. So I will just.
Thank you, Adil. That was
Yes, I want to see who's here.
Interesting to get your insight.
Guys, put on your videos. Was I speaking too much?
No. It was really great to get your insight on your work. And I mean, I have a question just to start things off. I'm curious to know about that barcode piece, those large pieces that you installed in the desert. And I'm wondering if you could tell the story kind of technically of how that was accomplished. I mean, I've moved around, you know, clay as it's dried, it flakes, but it's also kind of a part, I would imagine that those sculptures have a kind of timeline where they change. So yeah, I'm just curious about those pieces and how they changed through time and how installation took place.
So why the barcode, I keep getting asked. The barcode actually was made a year after we came back from China, from Fuping, where these figurines were made. When I was sitting in Fuping for the first time, saying, what am I going to make for this museum here? I thought of China being the supplier for most things in the world. And every item that goes out of China has a barcode on it. So I said, let's make a large barcode. But although I started the project there, it wasn't something that I wanted to display there. So I came back. The idea was still in my mind of making a barcode. And there was a certain gap in life for some reason, 2.5 weeks, which just fit in perfectly. I started making this large barcode. I had these 5-meter long canvases rolled out radially at one of the sites in Oroville. And it was extreme experimentation. I had not done this earlier. Preparing surfaces with certain resins that when you let them dry or mix them into clay or acrylics, they start cracking up and forming their own patterns, completely different from what I thought I was going to be doing. You get up in the morning, you go there, and it's a totally different pattern. You don't know. It's like the old Kodak roll, you know, you give it for processing and you don't know what the hell you're going to get. exactly like that. And I love that. I love that uncertainty of the whole thing. So these 5 meter long canvases got halved and made into the barcode, basically. That was the colorful barcode that traveled to about 6 different galleries in India. It wasn't easy. It's a huge piece, it's 20 feet long. And when the ceramic trinale was being planned, I was invited to display this. But I said, no, I don't want to display the same thing. I refurbished the whole thing to make it look like the desert and Jaipur and the Rajasthan setting. And that's how the deserted barcode came about. You're right, the clay does change over time, but it's in a way impervious because I've sprayed it with a kind of matte varnish that holds it all together. Otherwise, it would crumble. And I just love the fact that I can move a 5 meter long canvas and let the paints flow. And I've got some bizarre videos that my cousin Umida has filmed the whole process. And I still want to go someplace and do this to that scale again.
That's great. Thank you for telling us that. There are some questions that are coming up into the chat. One question that is in here is, when do we have a soda firing workshop next?
Everybody asks that. I keep telling people I'm open to spreading the word of soda in India. We've just, during the pandemic, when everybody was locked down and Auroville artists were locked in, 10 of us from Auroville got together and did a firing. It was the first firing we did after months living in lockdown. That was nice. And then just maybe a couple of months back, 4 more friends came down from elsewhere. And basically the thing is, we are living in Auroville in a very relatively COVID-free environment. The stories that we hear of how things are in the big cities and all those horrors, we are in a way insulated from that. So a lot of people want to come here and even live here, and we take our precautions, but it's still a blessing. So I'm open to soda firings and I'm open to soda workshops. I just expect people to know their clay work before they come, because you don't want to have a rank newcomer trying to learn how to make a pot which could blow up on other people's work. So there's a little bit of technique that you need to know before you come for soda, and then who knows, you'll land up with these beautiful objects.
Yeah,
Look at this one. This came out of the last firing.
that's gorgeous. You mentioned using local clays, and I'm curious, I mean, in the barcode piece, that strikes me as being so much about landscape to a degree. A portion of it is about kind of landscape. I'm curious about like using local materials or not using them, and what that means to you in the studio where you work.
See, what we have been using for 20 years that I've been doing ceramics at my studio, we have developed clay bodies over time that are made with ingredients that we have to source up from all over the country. You get a ball clay from Rajasthan, you get a China clay from somewhere else, you get feldspar, silica from different parts of the country to make your clay body, because like I said in the film, we are living on a bed of iron oxide. It's just red clay, it's terracotta, which is why traditionally too, the clay craft of this land was all terracotta. When you dig up here, you find these terracotta urns. You don't find stoneware. Ray and Deborah have started this whole wave of stoneware from the 70s, and we are all products of that. So having said that, in the last couple of years, I've been experimenting with, when I go to a water body and I see some lighter colored vein of clay, I dig it up and I bring it to my studio. And we've been getting some incredibly beautiful results using the clay as is. And I'm wondering why it's not been done in all these years of ceramics in South India. But it's a trend that has spread to some other people who are also interested, that why do we have to source things out from outside? Like the porcelain pieces you see that I make, we get them from Delhi Blue Pottery, which gets it imported from China. So it's not the best thing to do. But we don't get porcelain geologically here. So the wood firing that we do is the wood, the casuarina that is grown as a cash crop in and around Auroville. I've started using waste wood, cashew wood, mango wood for the bisque firings because casuarina is expensive. And it's not like you're cutting up a forest to do your firings, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Adele, about the kala, I read about this article that you write in your website. It's called kala. Can you explain us about what's the root of this word and what is behind this?
So kala, Kala, is an Indian word, Sanskrit word, which means art and craft, can be anything. In Sanskrit, there is no difference in the word. There's no separate word for art and there's no separate word for craft. It's all kala. That's the title of this article I've written. Because at one point, when there is always this thing about what is art, what is craft, and people in India, the buying public is still new to the look of stoneware ceramics. And there's always this hesitancy to pay a large amount of money for ceramic work as opposed to something that's up on a wall and you can pay 50 times that price for a canvas, but you won't do that for clay. And why? Because very many times people say, but this is only mitti, it's only mud, it's only clay. I'm trying to fight that, like a lot of us are trying to fight that. And when I started talking about this in Japan, my friends there told me that even in their language, there is no separate word for art and craft. It's all kala. So that's what I was trying to point out, that you don't need to say that because something is canvas and it's on a wall, you can pay crores of rupees for it, and you won't think of paying that sort of money for a ceramic object. So we are trying to bring ceramics up to a certain standard in the market. I'm going to get blasted for this, but it's okay.
It's kind of the same in the Persian language as well. We don't have a separate word for art and craft. And I think like lately, these are also the subjects which are becoming important in academic work as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for the explanation. So a lot of people ask for the website of Quartz Inversion. We put the link.
It's quartzinversion.com. So there's a website and there's an internet, there's an Instagram page. Please go to that. Very interesting. And you'll get to meet a lot of people doing a lot of very interesting work during the lockdown. And we hope to carry this forward. We're looking for a gallery. Janet has sent out a lot of invites to galleries, organizations to come on board to participate in this and take this project beyond, because it's all been self-funded as of now, and it's come to a point where somebody needs to also come in with this.
Yeah, our Linda Swanson, she's on it. Yes, she's also there, and it's kind of interesting to see like how the world is becoming so connected, and also in the ceramic world. It's exciting.
No, it's incredibly beautiful work. There are a lot of people in the second round. I had no idea. Most of these names were new to me, and such interesting work coming out during lockdown. Some people making completely different work from what they used to make because they just in a certain phase of their lives in lockdown. And then there were some who were doing exactly what they do before the lockdown, because that gives them some strength and some solace in, the known, because you're going through the unknown. So it's a very good mix of things.
Adil, could you speak about the importance of collaborating? It strikes me that throughout the work that you do, at various instances, you're collaborating like with the murals, with an architect, or the Quartz Inversion project, which is really a collaboration in there. Yeah,
well, it's not very smooth sailing. Janet and I have had huge fights, but that's what collaboration is about, right?
What makes it interesting?
I love to collaborate because finally, I know what I do. I like to be out of my comfort zone, working with somebody else, and responding to that work, or that person responding to my work. When Lakshma Gaur, who is a very famous Indian artist, was brought to me through a gallery to work on this project, we got along so well that he wanted to come back on his own the next time, which he did, with no gallery, no show in mind. And the work that was coming out was so beautiful. We approached Dadiba Pandol and we got the show. And it was a very successful show called In Collaboration. And I'm constantly doing this. I like to work with people from different mediums too, because I also use other media. And when we travel, you know, I'm part of this group called the Diagonal 11. Several diagonals are here online today, and we get together to do workshops in different parts of the world, and there's so much chemistry and good things come out of it. You can never forecast it, and that's what's nice about it.
That's really great. Thank you.
As long as the weather is good. I told Rian I'm not coming in 4 degrees centigrade to Canada.
But I said summertime here, it's a different world. You should join us in summer and then you will fall in love with Montreal. We have good things too.
I'm sure.
We have this time for questions. If anyone has questions for Adil, feel free to pose them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and pose it that way.
Yeah, I want to hear somebody.
Hello, sir. I'm Anuja.
Sir, no, sir. Adil.
Okay, Adil, I'm Anuja, and I'm also a ceramic designer. And but I'm a professor by profession now. And I would like to, want you to say some inspirational, or what would you say to the young inspirational people who want to step into art as a field, with ceramics? So any words of inspiration that, to guide them?
Go for it. I mean, come on. You see, I am a trained architect. I stumbled into ceramics at a very late age and haven't looked back. So if this is what you want, or even if you don't know if this is what you want, go for it. You never know where it will take you, no? I mean, you can't forecast these things. But the architecture is always there. You see the architecture in my work. People look at my work and say, this looks architectural. Fair enough, because I mean, you can't erase that from what you've done in life. But don't listen to people who, especially parents, who say, potters don't make any money. Yeah. You see all these potters here, nobody's really struggling. Okay. So
yeah,
there's a lot of good to come out of clay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the inspirational words. Thank you so much, Adil.
Everybody's very quiet.
No, it's not. I think it was a wonderful talk, and I just wanted to thank you again for joining us. It's a pleasure, and also I wanted to tell everyone that we're gonna put the recorded version of this talk and the previous one we had from Abbas Akbari on Gloucesterburg on the Nowruz project website. And feel free to if you have questions, we can always transfer it and to the artist, and it's lovely to host you guys here. Matt, on your end, or Magdalene, do you have any questions?
Well, I just thank you, Adil, very much for sharing your work with us and joining us today. It's one of the silver linings of this pandemic has been the fact that we were able to kind of then Zoom such far distances and get to see the way that people are making work around the world, which invariably is kind of different everywhere. And I think it's important for us all to have those reminders of, there are so many different ways of approaching. And with a tradition like ceramics, it's really kind of difficult to not have something that engages with the past to some level. So thank you for taking the time to present your work. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Rian. It was good. I was wondering how this was going today, but
It was wonderful, and we are getting lots of thanks images, thanks messages in the chats. Like, it went well, and once again, my apologies if there was a technical issue that.
no, but there has to be a technical problem. I've never had a Zoom thing without a technical problem. We went through our rehearsal yesterday so smoothly, but we didn't play the film, and it was the film that caused the problem. So something to learn.
All right. Thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye.
It was fun.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.